Good evening everybody, and welcome to the Photo Creative Leading Line Challenge. Really good to see you all here. It totally blows my mind to see where in the world everybody is from. We've got people from the Netherlands, Europe, we've got people from Central America, Central Canada, we've got people from Australia, New Zealand, the Cayman Islands. It totally blows my mind. It's an honour and a privilege to be here talking to you. So what is Photo Creative? It's a series of monthly challenges which I set as a photographer and trainer. There is a Facebook group with a community of the most supportive, friendly photographers of all kinds of levels that you will ever find on earth. And once a month we get together and we do a live session, which is what we're doing right now. The group is supported by I have to say, minority of wonderful people who make little regular donations and pop a bit of money into the pot to help cover the costs. Thank you very much, Carrie and Don. I see you've just done that here on YouTube. You can do that if you wish by clicking the little dollar sign below this live stream. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Lovely to see you all. I'm hoping everyone can hear me okay. Give me a wave if you can. Actually, if you can hear me okay, just write where you are in the world in the chat. It would be really great to just see where more people are from. People are saying I'm very quiet. I have no idea why. Let me see if I can do anything about this. Okay, let me see. I don't know if this will make a difference. Bear with me, bear with me. How's that? Is that a bit better? Is that audio better? Tell me. Good, 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 good. My apologies. I screwed up. The one thing which I've never quite managed to figure out is how to get the video quality a bit better, because on my screen here, just watching the playback, it doesn't seem to be particularly good, but hey, never mind. So yeah, Boston, Lincolnshire, Eastbourne, all over the world. Okay, so what are we going to do? So we're going to end around about 8 PM UK time. That's in about an hour's time. I have an early start tomorrow, so I'm going to try and finish on time. But before I do that, I just want to share something with you guys and make sure that you're not missing anything. Now, most of you I'm sure know the challenge is posted onto my website, but I want to just check in, because I always write some hints and tips and give you some examples to try and help you figure your way through the challenge. So just down here on the page you will see current challenge, leading lines, and I've written a few hints and tips and pointers for you, things to remember when you're doing the challenge. And I thought I'd bring this up because looking through the images of this challenge, I couldn't help but think one or two people may have missed the point just a little bit. I've just realised my mic was lying on the desk, so I don't know if I've suddenly become too loud. Hopefully we should be okay. Things to bear in mind when you're using a device like a leading line. Now, very rarely does the leading line itself work as the image, and that's why I put these little things here to help you figure your way through it. And some examples on the right. Let's just enlarge that and have a quick look. So in this case we've got a leading line which is the subject, but it's a waterfall, which then kind of makes it a bit more interesting. So the waterfall is a leading line through the image, leading up to the sky and the moon up there. But it's not often you can do that. In this case, the leading line is playing second fiddle to the scene, and it should do. Leading line should be maybe a part of the scene, but not the subject of it. In fact, this one, we've got several leading lines going on. We've got this one on the right, the rock wall. That's leading you down into the rain and the water and the little raindrops going on. Then that bounces us off these trees, another leading line taking us onto the hills, which bounces back. So we're being bounced back and forth in a sort of zigzag fashion. throughout this image. But it's not obvious that, hey, look, here's a leading line. This one's a much more leading line, but again, it is part of the picture. The car bonnet is leading us back to the driver. The walls and the convergence of them. This is pulling the viewer back to that human figure here. This guy, Coco Chanel, he's called. He was our fixer and guide in Myanmar some years ago, and he was just turning round. But the leading lines are taking you into the human figure. They're not dominating the scene. Well, they are dominating the scene, but because we are drawn to human figures automatically, we kind of just get delivered to the right place. This one is pretty obvious, you know, using a leading line here to take us to the sun and then across to the house. But again, the leading line isn't necessarily the subject of the image. A similar thing here, path in the snow in Iceland, in Reykjavik. And this is a leading line taking us back to the building, but the leading line isn't dominating the subject. This is in Enniskillen, out there in Northern Ireland. But look, these leading lines above and below, this is underneath a road bridge, and these in the concrete is taking us to the graffiti on the other side, but it's not the subject. The stream wandering up through the valley, but it's the valley that's the subject, not just the stream. In this case, we've got another leading line which kind of is the subject, and that's the clouds, which are sort of wandering us back through and up to the sky through the mountains. And again, the subject is the windmills, and the leading line is the path which leads us to them, but the path itself isn't the subject of the image. Does that make sense, guys? Just tell me something in the chat. Is this making sense? I'm just going to watch for your comments. Good, thank you, George. Because we're going to go and have a little look at your images, because I feel there's a few in the group here need a little bit of help with this. So let's start at the top this time, and we'll work our way down through. Then we will come to the images that are the ones that just caught my attention and really stood out. I noticed somebody just said the sound's only coming out of one channel. It's so annoying. Sorry, I don't know why. It's a stereo mic and it is all set up as it should be. Right, let me just get my screen all organised and sorted out so I don't go and make any howling cock-ups. Thank you very much, Susan. Much appreciated. You are helping. Helping. Everybody owes a debt of gratitude to all you guys who make these little regular donations, or pop something in the chat, or just click the button every now and then. It makes a world of difference. So, pictures. Let's have a look. Let's just dive in with the first one, shall we? Adrian John Jones. So Adrian, yeah, we've got a leading line. Your picture is made of a leading line. I guess we've got a leading line going on down here in the tarmac. We've also, of course, got beach huts curving around, but they're not leading us anywhere. Do you see what I mean? We've got a curving photograph of some beach huts, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. I notice your point of focus, your depth of field could be bigger, so that you're including sharpness throughout the image, or maybe use a shallow depth of field and then just pinpoint one, maybe the second hut as the sharp one, whereas we've got sharpness here and then it fades off. But rather than having some element of the picture leading us to the subject is a line. Excuse me one moment. Let me just shut that up. Right. And so we're not being delivered to a destination, or rather we are, but it's kind of the destination is the edge of the picture. I hope that helps, Adrian. Let's just have a move on. Bob, I'm not going to go through one at a time, but I just find this was really kind of interesting, because you've used leading lines in quite an intriguing way. These ripples in the water, they're not quite leading lines, they're almost frames, but it still works because somehow psychologically I'm getting like movement and I feel it is taking me into the story of Moby Dick. And I like your thinking as well, because you've decided to include some water and some waves, and it's all part of it. So we got these ripples leading us in. I've never seen this used in this way. I think it's a really clever idea, Bob, and I like your picture and I like your thinking. Let's move on just a little bit further. I will do as many as I can, and I'll try and keep it brief tonight. Brandon Cook. Now, of course, we had extraordinary auroras and northern lights all across the northern and southern hemispheres. It's been absolutely spectacular. Did I see it? Nope. I didn't know about the first one and slept right through it. And the second one, I just thought, I don't mean to be, but I've seen it so many times. And I had no idea it was going to be quite as spectacular as it was. But anyway, I like the way you've used your own shadow as a leading line, Brandon. I think this is really quite intriguing. Now, photographing the northern lights is a really tough thing to do, and these displays must have been so powerful, because generally speaking, you've got to use a long, slow shutter speed. Many of my own images are sort of 10, 15, 20-second images, and people are capturing these on phones and really quite easily. This one is a little bit undercooked, but I kind of like your leading line idea of using your own shadow with the light behind you and, I guess, your buddy or someone who was with you. So you have got a leading line in the road, but I think the strongest one is your shadow. And yet the subject is the sky. It could do with a bit more pop, it could do with a bit more exposure, it could do with a bit more detail going on in the shadows, but it's not an easy thing to do. The other thing you got here, Brandon, it looks to me like the moon peeked its nose out behind those clouds as you took the shot. I like a bit of moonlight when photographing the northern lights because it can highlight the foreground, but it usually involves quite a lot of post-production. I hope that helped. But sometimes if you're not going to do the post-production, you're better off to let the moon go behind the cloud when you're going to shoot it. I know exactly where this is, Chris Bagnall. Been there. And obviously it's just a bit further up this valley in Morocco, where we have our lovely family of nomads that we visit on the Morocco workshop. So again, Chris, it's a nice picture. It's one of those places. It's funny. The guy I work with out there, he sort of said, "What do you think of this place?" And I'm like, "It's a zigzaggy road. It's interesting, but you've captured it nicely. Great exposure, lots of depth of field, tons of sharpness. It is an interesting place. I totally grant you that." And you have got this zigzaggy leading line taking us down into the green valley below and those few little houses. I don't think there's much more I can add. I'm sorry, Chris. It's one of those things that I think, yeah, it's kind of nice, but I feel it needs something to really, really grab the imagination. I can't find fault with it. It is what it is. It's just me, possibly. So what else? Where can we go? Now, I really like this idea. Who's this? Michelle Dana. Hey, Michelle. One of our long-time OGs from Photo Creative from the days when it was Photo Lockdown. Now, you've got some great leading lines here, which, of course, are part of the image. But one of the things that works... Don't worry about it, Helen Martin. Thank you for coming. We were just killing time till you got here. Thank you for arriving. One of the things that works, even though it's a mishmash of lines, but look at all that light and shade. Light is still king. I love the way the light is caressing this wheel here on the right. But these leading lines, even though they're part of the image, they're all leading us back to the brightest part of the image. Our eye is almost automatically drawn to the bright part of an image. And when you have these lines coming into them, it supports that massively. And it is an interesting structure. If you're here, Michelle, I'd love to know exactly what it is. It looks like it's a cable car of some sort. It's not a cable car, is it? It's a cog of some sort. But everything is leading us into the center, into the place where you want your viewers to look. Tower lift shaft. Is it the, oh sorry, is it the Eiffel Fidgety Midget, is that you, Michelle? I see, it's the Eiffel Tower lift shaft. Right, got it. I get so confused with all these pseudonyms we have. Hey, Michelle. I really like it. I like the light caressing these rocks and the leading lines. And Michelle's done a great job of spotting and using some leading lines to lead us to the brightest part of the picture. Also, of course, the light is brightening as you go up the leading lines. And it's one of the reasons that this image works. Who's this? Sophie Preston. I don't believe we've met. Sophie? I'm always confused by this. You see, leading through a wheat field. Is it wheat or is it barley? Because I know some wheats have whiskers. Yeah, I think that is a wheat, isn't it? Because it's poking straight up. Barley has a droopy head. I kind of like the way you've done this because the leading line is kind of subtle and it's part of the scene. But the thing which to me really makes it work are the poppies in the foreground. The very fact that our eye is drawn to the red on the green. Red and green, best mates, complementary colours. But also the fact that they're in the tram lines from where the tractor's been through, fertilising and spraying the crops. There's something really rather lovely about it. I like the fact that it's a cloudy day and the fact you've got a dark cloud, the way you've composed it, so there's a bit of dark cloud holding the top of the picture together rather than composing it down a little, so you're just on that bright bit. Let's do a hand crop, people. Just take off the cloud, so we're just skimming the top of the tree and you've just got the bright sky. Just do that for me, one moment. What do you think? Because without that cloud, the sky's just too bright. Somehow it holds it together with the foreground. I think you've done a great job there, Sophie. Well spotted, and I think you've executed it really, really nicely as well. Yeah, totally agree, George. George, I wasn't suggesting that you'd take that dark cloud out. I know I usually do when we do this. That sky is perfect. It's the brightness. That's the thing. That's the bit. The darkness above the brightness, which is holding it all together so nicely. Jim Cornwall. Cornwell. Very poignant subject. And it kind of, I get how you've used the leading line, which is taking us across to the grieving lady. Such a sad subject. You've executed the shot really nicely. There's no question about that. The thing is, the gravestones, the headstones here, because they're much brighter than the destination the line is leading us to, I just feel a little bit more light into her face would really, really help. Now I get it. If you're taking this picture, she is genuinely grieving. You don't want to go and interrupt and say, can I put a reflector in here, or start messing around with flashes and things. But this is where post-production can come in. And I don't mean to fix something that's broken. There's nothing broken in this shot. There's nothing you could do with this, because if you were to increase exposure at the time of shooting, of course, these headstones would become too bright. So you're brightening the entire image, not just part of it. But if you do a bit of post-production, I'm not saying you have to, I'm really not. You could probably select this lady. She's in her own shadow because she's under the umbrella. But to your eye, I bet she didn't look quite as dark as that, because our eyes have a far greater dynamic range than a camera. So by selecting this lady, you could just lift the shadows a little bit, get a little bit of detail into her clothes and be able to see her face a bit more. And then you would probably find that what you already have as a very poignant image would be even more poignant. On the photographic front as well, just to really put my bossy coach's hat on. Try this, guys. Little side crop from the left. You see this one gravestone there? Let's just take that off. Let's just take that off. Just take it from the edge. Just remove that bright bit off the edge. What do you think? Tell me in the comments, please. In the chat, not the comments. Tell me in the chat. When you take that little bright bit off, I find it works better, because that little very bright bit on the edge of the composition is really quite distracting. These are little subtle things when you're composing a picture. Look all around the edges. Was it you, Alison, who told me about border control? Border control. Look all round the border of the picture. Go all the way around the edge, all the way, you know, don't miss any of it. Just check every last inch. And then take movements, little adjustments. It was you, Alison, wasn't it? Just to kind of, you know, make sure everything is in the right place. Because that one little stone, it makes such a difference. But great work, Jim. What else have we got going on here? Let's just take a moment to look at some of this. Great. Well, you know, there's some lovely images. I can't go through every single one. Here, I think, is a bit of an example. Oh, George, my friend. Your leading line is kind of taking over the picture. It's almost like, for me, it's a picture of a leading line rather than a composition with something that is leading us to a destination. Now, I get it. You have got a little human figure as a destination, but I just think they're just a little bit too itsy bitsy small in the distance for it to quite work. Boy, George, have you ever got a leading line in there? I think it's great. Orion's throwing saying, but I like this, and that's completely cool. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's wicked, and I'm not saying it's wrong. What I'm saying is, I think the leading line is dominating everything. So maybe if you could have got a little closer to your subject or waited till the subject came closer to you. The other thing that could work really well with these white lines is if you get really down low so that your camera is literally only, you know, like that far above it. Just hold it above the line so the line's really dominant, and then boom, and you get this convergence as it goes away. Good. Didn't want to put you on the wrong track there, Orion. But yeah, I think that could work better. I think your subject needs to be a bit closer, or your lens needs to be a bit longer, or you need to run down the street. I hope that's okay, George. And I hope you're well, my friend. You're another long-time member of this group, and you've made so many valuable contributions to it. Who's this? I don't think we've met. Arthika Ganeshan. Arthika Ganeshan. Agreed, George Stevenson again. I do think this is rather brilliant because we've got lots of things going on. We've got kind of frames on either side of the picture which are channeling us in to the end of the shot. The leading line of this light with that lone human figure in the middle of it is really great. And I like the fact that that human figure is kind of dark and shadowy. Here's the thing, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We are automatically drawn to the human shape, so we do notice it, even when it's quite dark. Even when it's got this very, very bright light here as kind of part of, what is it? This bright light, it's competing with our subject, which is down here. Arthika, I don't know if you do a bit of post-production. I would have been inclined to lift the shadows just a little bit, not much, and maybe take the highlights down just a little tiny bit, and possibly see if you can reduce that highlight, just to help that human figure, because it's a beautifully composed picture. I love the way you've used this bit of brightness just to capture that human figure in there. It's a beautifully done leading line. Let's scroll down a bit because I'm very aware of what the time is. Who's this? Damon Dickox. Lovely picture, Damon. I'm not quite getting a journey through the picture. I'm not quite getting the leading line. I know where you're going with this. You're saying, you know, the blue bird coming down to the bug, to the maggot, to the caterpillar is leading us to the caterpillar. But actually the subject's the bird. It should be the caterpillar leading us to the bird, if that makes sense. It's a great picture. I love the detail you've got in there and that beautiful vibrant blue colour and this little moment of lunch. But I'm not feel like I'm being taken on a journey with this one. Here we're going on a journey. Kelvin. Potato ridges, I'm guessing, out in the fields, taking us on a journey to a tree at the end of it. The thing we got here, Calvin, my friend, is it looks to me like we're sharp somewhere around here, but your tree's going soft. I think you possibly needed a bit more depth of field going on there to make that one work. The other thing is I think your focal length is a little bit too short. Because of these buildings, which are causing problems, they're distracting from the tree. It's not an easy shot to get, particularly because you've got this tree. Lone trees are so rare and so hard to find, people. It looks so simple, but it's such a lot of work. Maybe a bit further back, maybe you're on the edge of the field already. Maybe shooting it more vertically and a little bit longer lens and get a bit lower to the lines, because then you may have been able to exclude just some of this stuff, particularly this white van and these white buildings, and just take the edges off a bit. In fact, if you do that, guys, just crop it as a vertical. I think you'll find it works just a bit better. But the biggest thing you're fighting here, Kelvin, is the light. The light's quite direct. It's really rather overhead. I can tell that from this shadow. Whereas if you get it a little bit later in the day, I mean, you have got shadows, but if you were to get it a bit later in the day, those ridges would really stand out, and it would probably work a little better. Let's skim on down just a bit further. Right, we were talking about putting the camera right down low onto the white line, weren't we? And this is just what Mr. Dave Radcliffe has done. But I really rather like what you said, leading line on the road to nowhere. Have a little sip of. I hope you're all sitting comfortably with something nice to sip while we're doing this. I'm on my delicious Guinness Zero. I really like the zero alcohol ciders that are about now as well. You've got some lovely textures going on in here, Dave. It really works well with black and white, this texture. The light is just kind of right somehow. There's not too much shadow and it's giving these edges and jaggedy bits. And it is kind of a road to nowhere. I know the leading line is kind of the subject, but for some reason I'm finding this one just sort of works a bit better. Again, I would prefer it if there was something just a little bit more going on in here, but then of course it wouldn't be the road to nowhere, and if that was your intention, you've nailed it. So yeah, great job. Technically spot on. Obviously everything's nice and sharp, everything's well focused, exposure's spot on, a little bit of darkness detail balancing the trees in that bright area of the sky there. Nicely done. Michelle's got a cup of tea now, so at least she's good. What are you enjoying while we're doing this, guys? What are you sipping while we're doing this? Tell me in the comments. I'm just vaguely intrigued. Pete Keats. Leading lines to this pretty village church tower. I know where you're going with this, Pete, but I don't feel I'm being taken on a journey so much as being pushed into a corner. I like the tower. And then again, Pete, if you could have got a little lower, you'd have that tower framed by these lovely oak leaves. Instead of them overlapping the tower, they'd be framing it. Because if you got a little bit lower and looked up a bit more, it would have brought, you probably had a bit more room, moved your body forward a bit. But I think the leading lines, they're kind of coming in from the side and colliding rather than moving back into the shot. So for me, it's not quite working. What do we got? Okay, so Susie's on rosé wine, Beryl's on apple juice. Jane had a coffee. Well, you'd need a coffee, Jane. I mean, you and who was it? Claire. Claire, you're up at 3:30 a.m. to come and do this. That really is serious dedication. I mean, Claire, you're pretty committed anyway. You know, you've extended your holiday. You're coming all the way from Australia to come over to Ireland to come and do the workshop over there. I mean, that's hardcore. You guys who get up at silly o'clock to come and do this, I absolutely salute you. Glenn's on Diet Coke. Sparkling ice? Sam, what's sparkling ice? Anyway, let's get on with the pictures, because that's what you're here for. Nice leading line here, Lars. And you're a bit later in the day. Bright sunshine, not a problem. That's what's giving you these really rather nice shadows. And I quite like your bridge, your leading line running back to the people, the way they're framed. Quite like it in black and white. How could it be improved? I think it's just the people are just a little bit lost. They're a little bit of a way off. Maybe let them come a bit closer before you go click. Let them get a little bit closer to you. Or move up the bridge towards them so you're a bit closer to them. Although you would miss that lovely arch shape coming in there. For me, it's just that your subject is just a little bit lost against that dark. You've got dark on dark. And even though there are highlights on the sides of their faces, I think it could be improved on just a little bit. Let them come a bit closer. It could work if you wanted to do quite a lot of fiddly post-production, but I think the easy way is just let them get a little bit closer, maybe 50% of the way towards you. Exactly, Robert Hulse. Lighten the picture. Lighten the picture, lighten the people, not just the whole picture. Let's just look at a few of these as we just kind of move down. Now, hello, Bob. Great picture, Bob. It really is a cracking picture. There's something really calm and peaceful. And I love your shapes. You've got all these triangles going on here. And triangles work so well in pictures. And you've composed that so carefully. Now you've got depth to the picture, very obviously. I'm no way knocking your picture. I'm just thinking about the brief. We got a triangle and a triangle. We got kind of like inverted little triangles going on all over the place here, and we got such a great depth to it. I love the texture and the shape, and it's somewhere you just want to go and sit there, don't you? I think you'd all agree. You just want to go and sit there. I suppose, you know, and the leading lines in the floor, they are giving a sense of depth, actually. I suppose it's an unconventional use of leading lines. I suppose all these things, they are taking you on a journey to the back of the picture, actually. So I'm probably going to recant a little bit of what I said earlier. I'm torn on this one, but I think we all agree it is a cracking picture. It really is a lovely picture. I don't think there's much more I can add, so I'm just going to move on. Jenny Vars. Hello, Jenny Vars. It's a fun shot, isn't it? And it's pretty obvious. You've got those stripy tails leading to your duck. What more can I say? I think you could take the exposure down just a touch. I think the question, Jenny, is to ask yourself, is it a really exciting image? It's a good fun image. I'm not saying it isn't. It's colourful. It's kind of happy. And also, you have absolutely done everything I've been saying. Because your towels are not overpowering your duck. It's a bit like cooking. You know, when you watch these chefy TV programs, they go, yeah, great idea, but your I don't know, your chili is overpowering the lovely delicate flavour of the salmon or something like that. This is the thing you've got to watch out for when using things like leading lines and other devices. Are they going to overpower the flavour of the subject, of the point of the picture, or are they going to support it? Are they going to help to bring it to life? These are things you have to remember. Jenny, you have done that. You've got great little leading lines, and they're taking us to the subject of your picture. You've certainly fulfilled the brief really, really well. Light's a little bit harsh, but hey, it's a good fun picture. I don't think there's much more I can add on that one. Hello, Dr. David. Now, you've got leading lines going on all over the shop here, haven't you? And I think it does work because, you know, look, these lines, they're part of the picture, but they're taking us in to the distance. Everything is leading us into this foggy horizon. That's behind your house, is it? Why did you come to Morocco and you got all that stuff going on? Yeah. I like the way the vapor trails, they're all running the same way, and the way you've been very delicate in your post-production, let it be hazy. Your new sort of crop new crop, and it's all leading us to that little hazy horizon. The hazy horizon is the subject on a hazy sort of a day. I think you've done that really well, David. I really rather like it. What's this? Emily Jones just said something. Sorry. David, I hope that helped, my friend, but I just wanted to bring that to light for everyone as to why it works, why those leading lines work. Emily just said I would crop up to the towel to remove the pots. Let's try that. Get your hand croppers out, people. So let's just get rid of the pots on the right. It works. The square crop would work. Well spotted, Emily Jones. When you remove the pots, they are distracting. If you make it even a bit more of a vertical, upright crop, that works too. I quite like it just making it square, actually, so the duck isn't in the middle. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Pots or no pots? I'll have a sip on this. While you pop some answers in there. Composition is really important. Remember border control. I use it all the time now. Thanks for that one, Alison. But look all around the borders. Think about your composition. Composition is a function of arms and legs and hands and feet. It is where you stand. It is how much focal length you use. All these things are there to support your vision of what you want the picture to look like. And, you know, that's what I do. I teach people photography. I've got online courses that you can buy. I've got workshops. And I know so right this moment, probably some of you are shutting down going, oh, here we go. We're getting to the sales pitch bit. Well, yeah, why else do you think I'm here? You know, I can't survive on the few people who are super generous in making small donations to help support Photo Creative. The thing which pays for everything is, of course, the workshops and the online courses. So, yeah, I am going to sit here and I am going to tell you about them. So shut up and listen. But really, if you're new here and you're struggling with things like composition, what is the benefit of going on an online course or maybe coming on a workshop when there's all that free stuff on YouTube? The only thing with the YouTube stuff is there's some great information, but how do you know you are watching it in the correct sequence for it to work? Because there's no structure. You're making up your own training course out of random bits of jigsaw puzzle from different jigsaws, and then you wonder why things aren't quite coming together. That is why I strongly recommend investing either £75 on my masterclass course or a bit more than that on the 7 building blocks, or coming on a workshop, because you get a structure, you get a direction, and everything is designed to fit together in the correct sequence to make sense, so that you don't feel overwhelmed. And when you do something, you go, oh, wow, yeah, I see that. That's how that worked. So that's what that's all about. There are links in the description. Go and check out some of those online courses. Come on a workshop with me. Come up to London to Cameras Don't Take Pictures in September. That's a really great day out. I mean, London's the most accessible place in this country. So if you're in the UK or even just outside of it, I've had people fly in from Portugal to come and do a one-on-one day in London because it's not a long flight. Come and do it. You won't regret it. You'll have a great time. Let's move on. This is clever. I like this. I like the way you're using vertical leading lines to take us to that cheeky little cloud. I think it's just great fun. Orion, where are you? You say you wish you were in London. Are you within reach of London? Because if you're in the UK, you might not be. If you're in the States or somewhere, yeah, I get it. Thank you, Beryl. Right, the cheeky cloud. Come on, Browne, get back on subject. I like the way you've got these vertical leading lines, these fence posts, but then these gorgeous shadows of the trees, and they're all bringing you up into the picture, and then that naughty little cloud just sort of peeking over the top. I think it's well spotted, Sarah, and I think you've done a really, really good job. Obviously, it's all nice and sharp. Your exposure's spot on. How could it be improved? Difficult one. The only possible thing I can think, and this is one of those things which I'm just talking as a viewer, not as someone who was there. If the cloud was moving in this direction, let it get a little bit further up. Just wait until it's no longer touching the top of this dome. Because if it was so low in the sky without touching the dome, it would be even better. Yeah, agreed, Mary. Agreed. The shadows are what really make that image work. Crumbs, we're not very far down, are we? And it's 20 to 8 already. So forgive me. I'm going to move on a bit. There's so many things here I want to say something about because there's some great shots. And also, of course, I can see photographers who need a little bit of guidance, a little bit of help to try and bring their photography on a little bit further. Quickly, just Alec Murray. Hey, Alec. Again, you got a long path, and it is taking us on a journey through the picture for sure. What my question to you would be is that picture an exciting, well-lit, beautifully composed image, which is kind of exciting to look at? Now, we're all at different places on our journey. Please don't think that I am disrespecting the photograph you've taken, because, you know, there was a time for all of us, you know, I would have thought, oh, I wish I'd taken that. Wow, I'm pleased. You know, just getting the exposure right can be a big deal, depending on where we are on our journeys. And we all have to, you know, recognize that and give ourselves permission to be there. But I think the light is really rather flat for you. And also, maybe if these two little people, which the path is leading us to, if they were doing something rather than just sort of walking apart, if they kind of like were holding hands or linked arms or something, that I think would help it. But the biggest problem here isn't your leading line so much as I think it's your light. It's very flat light, and also the bright bit at the top is quite distracting, Alec. Let's just take the bright bit at the top off. What do you think, people? Just the bright bit, just that bit of bright sky, and take it off to the green. I don't know, does it help or not? I think I'm not sure it does actually. It's almost like the path is leading us to the bright bit in the sky, but I feel it needs a little bit of seasoning. Let's use another chefy term. You've got some ingredients, but it needs a bit of seasoning. Maybe the people closer, maybe somebody wearing red walking along that path, that sort of stuff. Let's just keep easing it back down because there are some great things going on here. Who's this? Paul Martin. Hey, Paul. Nice picture of a full rainbow, my friend. I'm not quite getting the leading line, though. The pot of gold always moves. Always moves, my friend. The leading line. We got the rainbow arc, but it's delivering us to somebody's house, your house maybe, and over the horizon. We've got some foreground in the bushes. Yeah, is the driveway a leading line? I don't think it quite pulls it together. It's a nice picture of a rainbow though, my friend. And as you say, the pot of gold always moves. Just keep moving down just a bit more because we're only halfway down and I do want to let you all see them before we go too far. Is this Denise Savage? You're just showing off you've got an aeroplane, isn't it? I see. So this is a leading line to the destination. Good comment, Helen Martin. Yeah, I really didn't expect that to be you, Denise. Okay, we've got leading lines going off into the distance. I'm not excited by it, Denise. I hope you were excited by your flight. Now here's a really rather lovely picture. Ah, Bjorn Lund Jonsson. This one was in and out of my do I keep it, do I move it, is there something I like more folder a lot, because your leading line is strong in the subject. It is your subject, but it is really taking us onto a journey into a very pleasing picture. I like the way you have allowed that brightness to remain, that foggy, misty, backlit sunshine brightness. Indeed, Marion. We've got a beautiful composition. The contrast between these deep shadows where you're in shade and that bright mist out there is really rather lovely. Look how carefully Bjorn has composed this. Look how the timbers on the edge of the sidewalk are equally in the corners. Look how these timbers are nice and straight. If that shot was just a little bit cocked one way or the other, it would just be uncomfortable to look at. These are little things which are subconscious to us, probably. But they make a world of difference. So you really are taking us on a journey through here. And I love the subtle muted colours that you've got going on as well. Nice vintage look, says Susan. Yeah, I would agree. And a little bird too. Always like a little bird, Mary. Really nice. Yeah, agreed, Paul. Paul Trively. Yeah, absolutely. Really, really like this image. And you've got things bringing us into it as well. You know, the way you've got the steps coming down and the footbridge leading in as well. It's a great picture. Ah, one of our resident regulars. Hello, Cheyenne, or whoever you are today. Jules. I love your composition. I think this is a great example of obviously a leading line. You know, we got leading lines all over the place coming in either side. We got leading lines at the boardwalk coming down. I love the fact the two boats are just nose to nose at the end. There's a great symmetry going on here. And then you've got your bit of Milky Way astrophotography going on up in the sky. It's a really great shot. And I really like the fact that, you know, you've just explained how you did it and what you did. So it's a composite consisting of two pictures. We got the photo of the pier taken during blue hour after twilight. In my experience, it's more like blue 10 minutes. And then 3.5 hours later, this is the work that goes into a lot of this photography that you see and people don't realise. 3.5 hours later, you took the images of the Milky Way and the stars, and you took those from the far end of the pier, so that, you know, you're getting just the stars and you can then put the two together in Photoshop. Is that cheating? Some people will say that's cheating. Well, is it? Look how much work Jules put into doing that. Because it's not actually possible to capture that kind of detail in one bite in this kind of light. Or I would assert it's incredibly, incredibly rare to be able to do that. Now, post-production has always happened since the dawn of photography. People were bleaching parts of negatives or pewter plates or prints in the darkroom. We did tons of post-production. We were dodging and burning and changing contrasts and exposures and all that stuff. Post-production isn't about fixing something that was broken. It's about creating something splendid. And very often something that looks to our eye, looks the way our eyes saw it, because cameras and eyes see the world differently. I think it's a really nice piece of work, actually, Jules. Well done. And it's an impactful image. I had to laugh at that. James Cavaretto. That's just good fun. I just think it's good fun. And it's also a rather nice picture as well. You know, I could see that kind of works as a card, birthday card, or a print on the wall. You know, stick it on the wall. It's just good fun. What more can I say? I just liked it. And I like the use of colour against just, you know, the felt pen drawings and the fact that it's not all precise. I just think it's good fun. Good point, Glyn Heskins. It should be the winner. Well, as you know, I try not to say we have a winner here because it's a challenge. It's not a competition. And all it is me picking out a picture that I like. If we had, do you know what? If we had more money, we could do something which we do in the private mentoring group, private mentor and feedback group. There's a small bunch of guys here who pay me an amount per month, which is to be part of this small feedback group. So I give them feedback, but also we're getting some pretty cool big names coming in. And our most recent one, Garthia, he had a great conversation with everybody, and then he gave everyone a really tough challenge, but he came back all the way from Spain to give us feedback on his own challenge, and that was really, really cool. So there's another thing which I would recommend you do. I think there is a place available on that at the moment. Again, go to the website, have a look. There's a link in the description below somewhere. This, I think, is a cracking picture as well. Ronald Mitra. Why does this work? we got that very strong leading line. And again, it's one of those rare things, in my opinion, where the leading line is such a strong part of the image, but it is leading us out the window. What more could we want? And also look at those beautiful light and shade and textures. Light and shade, light and shade. Very few colours, very few distraction. Oh, it's an old hutch. I thought it was, well, okay, hutch, a barn. What is that? If you're here, Ronald, I'd love to know. A hutch. Rabbit hutch. I don't know. But it looks like pretty heavy timber to restrain rabbits. I just think it's a beautifully done picture. And also the light is playing such a strong part. Look at the light. We've got light creating a line coming back this way. We've got light causing a diagonal line coming down into this corner. So we've got this bright area coming all the way up until we hit the brightest bit there. Light is always king. It always is. It doesn't matter whether you have the most amazing scene, the most beautiful model, the most expensive camera. If the light isn't working for the picture, it's going to be a bit mediocre at best. I'm not going to say the light's good, because there's no such thing as good or bad light. There's just light. But there is an appropriateness of different qualities of light for different subjects. Again, this is all covered in my online masterclass in photography course. So go and get yourself on it if you're not sure what this is all about. If you do it through, you know, just go and get yourself on it. Just follow the link below. Go and get yourself on it. I was going to go off on a tangent because I like this shot here from Carrie Casca. Take it on your way to work. There you go. You see, this is what I was just saying about if the light is interesting. Light and composition, they hold hands. They're so important. But look, what do we got? Power poles, power lines. People think, well, that's not a very interesting subject, is it? But look how Carrie's put it together. We've got such a strong dynamic leading line leading to the sunrise, which hasn't quite come up yet. We've got a misty sunrise. It's that little blob of sunrise colour. It's taking us on a very strong journey to a destination, even though the leading line is in itself a part of the picture, which is kind of gainsaying what I'd said at the beginning, but hey, who am I? Some idiot just sat here talking to you. But look at these lines with the trees. Everything is leading to a new day, to a new sunrise. Power poles, a few trees and some scrubby grass. When you say it like that, you think, well, that's not particularly interesting. But it is when you put those ingredients together in an appropriate way. Tracy Strachan, let's quickly just pick up here. You've kind of got a reverse leading line. I get it. Because your leading line is coming towards the camera and the drop. But I'm going to assert that the drop being brighter is the thing which gets us already. And so for me, I'm kind of losing the line aspect, which was kind of like part of the exercise, if you will. It's a beautiful picture. Please don't think I'm knocking your picture or your creativeness or your technical ability. I'm not. But I'm just thinking, it doesn't need a leading line to come back towards it, because what I'm finding is the drop is doing the opposite job. The drop is drawing our attention and then we go up the leaf. The drop is the subject. I hope that makes sense. Let's keep just rolling down a bit further. There are some crackingly beautiful pictures going on here. David Whitfield, look, lovely leading line, someone in blue. If only they were wearing a red jumper. I'm not knocking you, David, but if only they were wearing a red jumper, they'd pop out there just so loud. I think this is a really good fun picture from Emily Jones. I just like the body language. I like the leading line you've got going on, coming back towards, I guess this is one of your children. I like the body language. I like the fact part of his mouth's covered that's so teenagery. But the way you've used this texture, because it's a human shape, we know what the picture is. It's this lad. And everything else is supporting, that leading line is supporting really, really well. Cracking picture, Emily. let's just keep our movement down because I don't want anyone to miss out. I think that's a lovely picture of it. Who's that? Andy Maynard. Lovely picture of a church, great weather. Again, you have got a very subtle little leading line. It's just that little path. It's not domineering, and you got this little gap. The biggest thing that's making the church pop here isn't so much the leading line as it is the framing. You've got a frame and a frame. Look, everything, all the corners have got stuff in them. We're framing up that church in that little pool of sunlight. Little tip, Andy, I think you could have taken that exposure down a bit. I think if you reduce the exposure by about half a stop, it would be even stronger because the clouds would really pop, the shadows would be deeper, and the church would still be sitting in this. You really highlight this pool of light that you have spotted and shot in. Great leading lines here, Rob Cook. You photographing some weddings, Rob? They're hardcore, man. Wedding photography's hardcore. No, you evolved from workshops and all sorts of things. But yeah, look at that. Look at those gorgeous leading lines, and they are kind of part of the picture, but we've got such a strong thing here. The pews and everything, they're all leading us to the point of the bride and groom. Done these things so often, and so often cried out, wish we had a checkered floor or something rather than just those grey square pavings, but hey. Nice picture, Rob. If you were the wedding photographer, I hope you enjoyed it and you had fun with it. Right, we are pretty much down at the bottom here. There are so many interesting shots. I just want to grab this one out. Carl. Hey, Carl Spitzer. I'm not quite getting leading line from it, my friend. I know you're thinking of these two wands that she's holding, but I feel she's sort of framing herself between them rather than we're being led through a picture. Great portrait, great colours, great exposure. Love the bubbles, love the sunlight. Not knocking that at all. But I just think, I don't know, we're framing her. And it's a great shot. Don't think I'm knocking your picture, but I'm not getting a journey through. I'm getting a great picture of this girl in the bubbles with the crazy makeup and all the rest of it. Beautifully done. One more. Wendy Lamb. Hello, Wendy Lamb. Wendy, my friend, I'm not quite getting a leading line on this one either. I feel that it's kind of a bit flat. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, yeah, well, they're going downhill in the slope, but there's nothing kind of drawing us in through the picture in this case, which is kind of what I was looking for, which is why I really wanted to show everybody those pictures on the website that I post with each challenge to give you some hints and tips of kind of what we're going to try and work on in each challenge. So please make sure you go to the website. Don't just go and have a quick glance and read the top bit and run away. I know what you like. Go and have a proper look. Go and figure it out. Have a think about what you're going to do. Photography doesn't happen in the camera. It happens in here, in your noodle box. So let's go take a look at the pictures which really did catch my attention this time. Let's just see what we got. Come on, think. Here we go. I don't know why my mouse doesn't change into the little draggy shape thing so well at the moment. Anyway. Right, there we go. Getting my screen all set up. One last thing, if you're in the New Forest, Hampshire, Dorset area, or even from further afield, I mean, hey, I've had people come from, believe it or not, Germany to come down to Muddyford Quay on my one-day workshop. It's the last one this year. If you want to come along. Don't forget, we got London coming up in September. Cameras don't take pictures. Really inspiring morning, followed by an opportunity to put all the stuff you got inspired about in the morning into practice in the afternoon. I really, really would love to see you guys there. Yes, Festus, that is Guinness, but it's Guinness Zero, the no alcohol one. I have a bit of an allergy to alcohol. I very, very rarely touch it. This stuff is delicious. And Where a pint of Guinness is about 200 and something odd calories, that's only 75. There's little more in that than there is in a cup of tea without sugar. Guinness Zero, David Clifton. Indeed, my friend. So, now this is the second time this evening that Emily Jones got a shout out. I just realised when I clicked on it. Well, never mind, you got you got a bonus one. I loved your leading line. I love the way it is so strong and it curls around and points to your sun here. And you've also got this kind of these little bits of sparkle in the foreground going on, which are helping to highlight this silhouette. It's a great silhouette shot. So contrasty, so powerful. I really do like it. And I think it's a cracker. What more can I say? Very well done indeed. And I like the use of leading lines here from our lovely friend Stella Fag. And I hope you are feeling better, Stella, from, you know, when you fell over in Iceland and other things as well. So I hope you and Andy are both good. You and Andrew are good and rocking. But I like this. I like the fact you've got the stamen slightly off centre. It would work great in the middle, but I love the fact it's slightly off centre and the way the light is falling so that the lines at the bottom are drawing us back. They're brighter than the lines at the top. The light is just cracking and it draws us back to the stamens. Lovely, beautiful, natural, uniform pattern, and the little droplets of water, they just sort of break that symmetry a bit, and I just think they look fantastic. I really do. I think it's a cracking picture. And now we're going to nip over to Ireland to our friend Maud. Hey Maud! What makes a better leading line than light path? And when it runs across those beautiful ripply smooth textures, I think it's even stronger. Now, in this case, our leading line is such a strong part of the picture, but it isn't the picture itself. And you've got layers of structure going on. Look at this dark in the foreground, then that dark where there's that lovely smooth shiny wave just starting to ripple. Then there's all the little ripples moving back, and then suddenly we've got a bunch of people having a great time on the opposite shore. But still, our leading line is taking us on and on and on, because we always end up at the brightest part of the picture, which is the sun, and it's taking us through the people. The fact that you've weighted, Maud, and you've got the majority of the people either side of the light path, it's absolutely cracking. It really is the decisive moment, I think. And I also love the fact you've left it pastel. You've allowed it to be pastel. It can be so tempting when you've got all these reds and colours going on here. If you chuck it into Lightroom, you're going to be, you know, it's so easy to boost them up, to pimp the colours, to try and make it more dramatic. And you haven't. You've let it be subtle and gentle. And I just think it has all the more for it. And I especially like there's a little hint of lens flare going on in the foreground. Hey Jane Kilbride, good to see you. You put in a lovely picture as well. I'm sorry I didn't get to it. I remember looking at it when we were going through and I thought, oh, I must have a little say about that, but I didn't get there, so apologies. Cracking picture, Maud. Ah, it's our friend Frank. Frank, let me, because I can't read it on that, it's too small. I want to see. I can never remember your name. It's so frustrating because I wish you could just tell me what your name is so I can pronounce it properly. Brunsarada. That's what I'm going to say. It's probably wrong. Beautiful picture, Frank. Frank, you've been around. You've been around here for a little while now, and you're obviously a pretty accomplished photographer. So what is it about this that I like? And so, you know why it works, you guys that have been around it a bit. So some of you who are maybe a bit newer to this and you're struggling a bit and you're thinking, well, why? The leading line here is, of course, that slightly brighter part of the pavement. You see you've got some shadows just in front of the building. Now the shadow at the bottom is mimicking the top. We've got lines all converging onto a tiny, eeny, weeny little subject. But because there is such uniformity of both light and shade and shape and texture, it just worked. And then we got that lovely natural sky going on, which is breaking up, you know, the man-made uniformity of the lines. The fact that our subject is so tiny. Now, I know I was talking to someone on a bridge, forgive me, and I was saying if your couple was a little bit closer up the bridge, it would work better. They're just a bit too small and they're lost against a dark background. The thing here is, yes, the subject is tiny, but again, it's a human shape. But all these lines are leading us to that shape, and the lines are just beautiful lines in and of themselves. Also, this one doesn't need to be brightened up. The silhouette is working well because the silhouette-y dark shape is against a bright shape, whereas in the other one it was against a dark shape. So it was a bit of a struggle to pick them out. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. You know, like when you look at a picture, analyze it and think, well, what are the elements? What are the ingredients? How has this been cooked and put together? Great shot, Frank. A very classic bit of waterfally landscape here from Daniel Briggs. It's such a classic leading line shot, isn't it? A little journey leading us back through the picture. I love the fact that your shutter speed was not so slow that the whole thing just kind of turned into a white blurry mess. That's one thing to control. Shutter has the superpower of controlling movement. Shutters don't just do exposure, just like apertures don't just do exposure. The superpower of a shutter speed is controlling the amount of blur or movement you have in an image. The superpower of an aperture is it's the fine control on depth of field and how much sharpness you're going to get. So you've got loads of sharpness here, so I'm guessing you had a small aperture, or maybe you focus stacked, I don't know. Often the way with these sorts of images, but it's beautifully done. Look how the light is just coming over that large slab of sort of leaves and things on the left, and in many cases you might think it's a bit dominant, but it isn't, because of the brightness of the water and that little whirlpool. And we sort of jump up like a little fish, like a little salmon, wriggling up over the waterfall and then back to the bigger one in the pool beyond. And also I like the fact you got that little V of the sky in the top with the tree in the middle of it. The V is an arrow helping to highlight the waterfall. And also, and it's not an easy shot to do this, you've got a little bit of detail. It's so easy for that V-shaped bit of sky to have burnt out. There's just enough that it works. Beautifully done, I think. Cracking shot there. And so, the one which I kept coming back to, my image of the month, because I just think it's funny and really clever, was this one from, I think, our new friend Les Pilo. Hey Les, I think this is a great bit of street photography, and I know I like street photography. I know not everybody does, but to use the guy's own reflection and the reflection of his surroundings as the leading line to the guy, to the subject, I think it's just a really well spotted little piece of genius, because it took a little moment for me to realise what was going on, and that's always good. The fact that you've got depth, so I'm going to guess, Les, I hope you're here, you probably saw that shiny bench or whatever it is and just waited for the right moment, for something to happen, for someone to be there. And by using that line on the, on the bottom right corner, look how carefully Les has positioned that dark line where the two, the verticals, the vertical and the horizontal meet. Look how carefully he's positioned that in the bottom right corner of the frame, and then waited for someone to come through. And I bet you Les has got a whole ton of pictures of different reflections and different people in this place. To me, what I really like is the fact that the reflection's back to back rather than front to front. I'm not sure it would work so well if he was coming towards himself, but the fact he's walking away from himself is great. It's divided neatly in half with the leading lines and the reflections themselves, the buildings on the right and the man's reflection at the bottom. It's all bringing us to the subject. Look what a small piece of real estate the subject itself is using. So yes, the leading lines are very dominant, but they're not dominant because they're part of the subject. It's a great piece of photography, in my opinion. Great bit of street photography. So very well done indeed, everybody who took part in our challenge. What more can I say? Thank you everybody for being here, and I hope you found some value and some usefulness in this evening's feedback session. If you'd like some regular feedback, don't forget, come and look on the website, go to the website, photography training bit in the menu. I think there's a place in the mentor feedback group at the moment, because somebody who's on the other side of the world, they couldn't keep getting up at silly o'clock in the morning to come and do that. Come and join me on some workshops. Come and get yourselves on some courses. Yeah, it's what I do for a living, but I want it to work for you as well. That's the important part. So the next challenge will be live very, very shortly after we end this broadcast. I urge you to go to the site and read the hints and tips. Have a look at the pictures that I put in there to try and help guide you. Remember, you need to shoot for the challenge. If you're new here, this isn't about going to your archive and finding something you've already got. You need to put in the work. This is for you to have a workout for your creativity. So find something and shoot it. Please, no AI. No problem if you use a phone or a compact camera or a blimmin' Hasselblad. I don't care. We just want to give you something to give you creativity a workout. Be well, everybody. Take care of yourselves. I look forward to seeing you next time. Big hug to you all. I hope you have some lovely weather. And you guys that are getting up at silly o'clock in the morning from all over the world, you really do rock. Take care. We'll see you all soon.